Good morning. This is KELOLAND on the go with all you need to know in news and weather as you start your day.
2 children were rescued in Mission, South Dakota this week after falling through thin ice. An adult also fell through the ice while trying to rescue the children.
With the warmer weather, many bodies of water don't have ice, and if they do, officials say to take caution.
So if there is ice out there, it's very uneven. The thickness might be 2 inches one place, 4 inches another, and you have to be really careful about going out.
If you must go onto the ice, firefighters say to wear a life jacket and have someone watch you from shore. If you feel the ice cracking, lay down to distribute your weight and go back to shore. The Turner County Commission held a special meeting where they heard about the structural integrity of their courthouse.
A group leader with an engineering firm shared that while a shoring up process had gone off without a hitch, it's only a temporary solution.
There's a lot of steps and a lot of considerations yet to be made before we ultimately decide what's the most cost effective, what's the best for all of us, taxpayers, the employees, the entire county.
The courthouse was partially evacuated on Tuesday because trusses on the east side of the building had sunk 19 inches. Over the past week, hundreds of families have been trying to find alternative daycare options as a local daycare announced it would be closing its doors.
However, as of Wednesday, Apple Tree's owner says there's still the possibility that all 4 children's centers could stay open.
But as far as a normal business operating in a sustainable manner, and I'm very upfront with them about that. I don't mind saying it on camera because it's a real challenge. And if you're up for it, God bless you. I'll share whatever I can share.
Stewart said the person interested in potentially taking over would keep the Apple Tree name. However, he says that if someone does, it will not be an easy task. To read about the financial turmoil Apple Tree faced that led to its closure, you can find that in a KELOLAND original by Jacob Newton.
Now let's get a check of our weather with meteorologist Scott Munn, staying on the warm side as we head toward the holiday weekend. Scott.
Oh, the temperatures will be above average, numbers in the 40s and 50s, not only for today, but I think that will hold at least through the first half of the weekend. And we could still see 40s, maybe 50s going into the second half of the weekend, Christmas Eve, in eastern and southeastern KELOLAND. There's our forecast for today. Partly sunny skies. We'll see 50s across western South Dakota. We'll go with these dry conditions, warm conditions all the way through Saturday, and then things do start to change Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Brian will have more details on your forecast coming up.
Thank you, Scott. Winter has yet to show its face, and many outdoor activities tied to snow and ice have been put on hold. Campus Park is home to one of 6 outdoor ice rinks in Sioux Falls, but it's currently a sea of brown.
Creating an ice rink takes about 7 days under ideal weather conditions, which aren't in the forecast. That won't be an issue in the future, as Jacobson Plaza at Falls Park will feature an outdoor refrigerated ice skating ribbon.
That refrigerated ice removes a lot of the inconsistencies that we realize with the weather, and we'll be able to operate many more days, eyeballing shortly after Thanksgiving through hopefully March and something like that versus the 40 days that we realize today.
Crews likely won't start making ice until after New Year's, so it could be mid-January before the outdoor rinks open for the season. A former Augustana student received a graduation ceremony 3 years after leaving the school. Zach Stevenson, his friends and staff celebrated a mini graduation. He attended Augie as an exchange student from Australia from 2016 to 2020.
Stevenson was set to walk in 2020, but found out during spring break that he had to return home because of COVID. So the International Programs Office decided to host him a ceremony.
Zach was part of an amazing community, both within our international student community, but also the basketball community, the domestic students that he got to know here, and that's allowed him to come back to reconnect.
KELOLAND's Renee Ortiz spoke to Stevenson after his ceremony. You can find that interview on the online story right here on KELOLAND.com. Well, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is now showing at the Century Theaters, and Wednesday, 8 busloads of kids got a private showing. They came to be with their classmate, 12-year-old Spencer Thorsland. We've been following Spencer's journey after he was diagnosed with cancer.
Doctors have said there's nothing more they can do for him, but that's not getting him down. He's doing as much as his body will allow to do, and getting to see the movie was a plus.
What more can we do to make this super special for him? You know, build memories with his friends, keep those social connections with his buddies and his friends at school.
There were 350 kids at the movie. Spencer was also given a golden ticket and said it was a day to remember.
That's a look at some of our top stories.
Now let's get one last look at your weather with meteorologist Brian Karstens. Brian?
All right, our weather update today. Well, we're going to see a fairly quiet day. Our temperatures primarily in the 40s this afternoon. A few folks in western Ketherland will likely be into the 50s once again. So same stories we've had. Seems like a lot of December has been trending this direction. Now, a few subtle changes tonight. There's one component I want to make sure we get out there is the low-level moisture factor in eastern Ketherland will go up, and we do expect some patches of fog formation. Now, in addition to that, it is possible to get a couple of sprinkles to zip through southeast Ketherland. That's correlated to a system that's more organized to our south. It's not the system for Christmas Eve, but it's just something there that, again, could affect our temperature forecast a little bit more tomorrow. Obviously, these numbers showing up on the screen are still pretty bullish in the upper 40s, but it wouldn't take much if we ended up with clouds and fog lingering a little longer. So, okay, I just want to make sure we're on record as saying that. Now, the forecast for Saturday, it looks like we're open for business to warming up. Sioux Falls area, can we hit 50? It's possible. We'll be very close to that marker, and that's ahead of this disturbance. Now, it's actually coming out in several pieces. You've got really the main low initially is down here in Arizona. Then you've got two other components here to the northwest in Washington State. Some of this energy is going to bypass to the north. Another one is going to wrap around to the south, and so now you've got two lows here, and it's important that we distinguish that because this has a full implication on the forecast. It's not like we're just having one round of moisture on Christmas Eve and then we're done. What you're going to notice, and I think over time this will get refined, is we'll have one push Christmas Eve, then we'll get maybe a little bit of a lull, and then there'll be a second one that'll come in sometime during Christmas Day, maybe even into Tuesday. So there'll be some separation there. Notice all the rain on the front side of this system. East River on Christmas Eve, even Christmas morning. It looks like it's going to stay warm enough for rain in Sioux Falls. But in central South Dakota, western South Dakota, that's a different story. Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, we are expecting snow. Increasing probabilities of a plowable snow. And with all this water coming up from the Gulf of Mexico, we've got to start watching that. I think that there is some potential now for definitely some more significant numbers. Now, we're not ready to commit to exact ranges yet on a Thursday, but I want to plant that idea in your mind that, yeah, we really do need to watch that. And then we'll see where this goes on Wednesday, if we wrap enough warm air, or do we possibly change over to snow in more areas of Ketherland? That's still a big question mark. In fact, literally looking at this forecast here by the end of the week, that's quite the trough there east of us, and it's possible we could see more effects from that. A lot of water. There's the latest trend, and hasn't that increased? You know, it's been doing this the last few days, but we saw quite a significant jump last night. Now, the exact ranges on rain, again, I'll kind of restrict that, but an inch or two looks really likely in most of eastern Nebraska and Iowa, and some of those numbers are going to reach into Ketherland. It's just a matter of how widespread we get on that. And then, of course, if we want to fraction this out, you know, looking at the total, you know, piece of the pie here, how much of that is snow? And it could be a significant amount in western and parts of central South Dakota. So pay attention. There'll be more to say on that story later today on Ketherland News. In the short run, we're in the 40s today. We'll kind of wrap it up here with your 7-day forecast. And I think right now Sioux Falls still in the 40s through Christmas and possibly Tuesday. But that's a little more of a question mark. It depends on how that low behaves, how much cold air we wrap in. So we will continue to update those issues on our 7-day forecast. Aberdeen, it's more likely we will see a rain-snow combo. The moisture values have gone up in the north. Everything has shifted or continues to trend that way to the north. So yes, we can pick up some accumulations in Aberdeen, but again, finer details yet to come. I do feel more confident about the snow predictions in the south central and the western areas of South Dakota, that we're going to get enough snow to cause some travel issues. How much and exactly when? I would say Christmas Eve during the day. That will be snow in Rapid City. 80% chance, 50% chance on Christmas. Much more on the developing weather at KELOLAND.com.